and thank you for visiting Coastal Custom Wine Cellars. I'm going to share a project with you today that we recently completed in Orange County, California. In November of 2013, I was contacted by an architectural firm out of San Diego, and they sent me this beautiful color rendering of the proposed remodel to the dining room area of the Coto de Caza Golf and Racquet Club. The focus of our work was to be this enclosure here. This is approximately 11 feet wide, 2 feet deep, and about 9 foot tall. And this was an area that the club members would have the opportunity to store and display some of their private collections. So after a number of consultations and a couple of site visits, we created some design work for them. The wine racks were provided by Vintage View out of Denver, Colorado, and the cooling unit was provided by the Wine Guardian out of New York. So let's take a look at how we came about to designing this. I'm going to share some photographs with you as well. What we're looking at here is the wine rack design. This is an overhead view of the area. It is a footprint, if you will, a bird's eye view. And as you can see, the dimensions are posted. It's approximately 11 feet wide, 2 feet deep. This is the back side, or a fixed glass panel, so that all the club members sitting on this side of the enclosure had a view of the wine cellar, the wine enclosure. This is the front side, where there's a series of doors, 3 pair to be exact, 1, 2, and 3. And the capacity of this particular enclosure was 1,000, or is 1,380 bottles. This is a front elevation. Mostly it's label forward horizontal displays in a 3 deep configuration. In other words, behind the visible bottle, there's 2 more bottles stored to increase the capacity. And we also have a presentation row running the width of that. The back side is the fixed glass panel view. And this is a side view illustration as well. So this single deep storage on the side of the vertical frame is for the rear or the fixed panel, and then the front side, where we have 3 deep configurations, is where the series of doors are located. So let's take a look at how the actual cooling unit came to be. This is the rough frame construction of the wine enclosure. This is the cold air supply. This is the cold air return. The beautiful thing about the Wine Guardian ducted air handler systems is there's no visible equipment in the wine room, and in this case that's ideal because it's all glass. But there's no evaporator mounted on the wall occupying valuable wall space, when indeed capacity could certainly be an issue. Typically these things are installed about 25 feet away from the enclosure. As you can see, I'm just on the other side of the enclosure. Here's the cold air supply that I mentioned. Here is where the cooling unit is actually placed in the ceiling, and the cold air is supplied to and from the enclosure, and the hot air in the drain line heads out this way to the outdoors. It's mounted in the ceiling, as you can see. This is one of their larger units. Their model D088 is placed in the ceiling. It requires a little bit of clearance around it so that the ducting can be mounted into the various panels that are available. Now let's take a look at some of the wine racks. The finish on the wine racks is a platinum finish, brushed nickel, or kind of a stainless steel effect. And as you can see, here's the cold air supply that we've been talking about. Here's the presentation row that was included on the wine racks. This is the back side, or the rear fixed panel of the enclosure, which will go along here. Now we've installed the glass. It's a 1/2 inch tempered glass. The doors are quite tall and quite heavy, so we use commercial duty pivot hinges that are self-closing. So we certainly didn't want the door to swing in, being so heavy and causing damage to some of the wines. And so there is also locks at the bottom of these for at least security reasons. Now that the enclosure now has some bottles stored inside the enclosure, these last few pictures will give you some different angles of how the many different views are available to the customers. It's almost as if they're floating inside the enclosure. It's amazing. All in all, a fun project to work with, and we'd certainly like to help you design and move forward with your project if you have one. You can reach out to us by our website at www.winecellarsbycoastal.com, or call me at 949-355-4376. Cheers.